Jimmy, can you speak to the genius that is Topper just pulling all the right strings with Garrett Stubbs yesterday? How locked into this team is Topper right now?
But what if Garrett Stubbs went 0 for 5? You'd be murdering him.
Nah, it wasn't going to happen.
Because that off day was established 5 days ago, as we've talked about a number of times. Have talked about it a bunch with Jamie and Renee. When these off days are planned out well in advance, and they include, the decision includes the front office, their athletic training staff, their medical staff, their sports science people, and they're all weighing in on it. And that day off is established 4, 5, 6 days ahead of time, and they're not going to move off it. So it had the potential to be kind of combustible because JT hits 2 home runs Saturday night. And you just know he's going to sit the next day because it's going to be a day game after a night game, 97 degrees, and he's caught 5 in a row. He's getting the next day off, and that's where your backup catcher is going to get the start. So great job by Garrett Stubbs, kind of having his manager's back. He goes out there and he has a day, as they say, and nobody even squawks about JT getting his day off, so it becomes win-win. JT gets his day off. He'll be behind the plate for Wheeler tonight, and they win a big ball game. And Stubbs feels great about himself. He contributed to a big win. You mentioned Topper pulling right strings. I kind of look at it just the opposite. I think the players make the manager look good. And I think it's always been that way. Grady Little sends Pedro Martinez back out to the mound in Yankee Stadium 20 years ago. If Pedro gets those 3 outs, Grady Little's a genius. But, a little flair, Grady Little's run out of town. It's up to the player to make the manager look good. And, Garrett Stubbs did that yesterday for his whole team, and he made himself look good as well.
Do you like planning those things out? Like, I get it. Last 2 days in Kansas City were hot. And so I understand, especially Sunday. Sunday was very hot. But knowing that JT had missed a lot of the season, knowing that his bat was struggling, hits the 2 home runs, I'll be honest with you, I would have amended that. And I would have, knowing also that you needed to win yesterday. Now, thank God they did, but that was a big game to win that series after the way you looked in Atlanta and knowing you got, 7 more tough games coming up.
As soon as he hit those 2 home runs Saturday night, I was like, the word I just used, combustible. This could be real. This could explode. If they get hammered tomorrow and they don't hit, and you just took your hottest bat out of the lineup because it's a prescribed day off, people are going to lose their mind. And I understand it. But they have a process, and they are going to stick to it, especially with –
No, I know they do. I'm just curious about you. Oh. Do you like to go more day to day? Do you like having like normally I agree. I would that's a day you sit JT. But you got to give yourself I often think that you got to give yourself a little wiggle room in case you want to, you know what, I need the game. I'll give him Wednesday's a 4:00 game. I'll give him Wednesday off against the Astros.
Yeah. I actually like planning it out a little bit because I think if you amended your like you tell the player the plan, he can kind of plan his week in his mind and manage his body. Now all of a sudden, if you change that up, players feed off that and they sense like something ain't right. They sense a little panic, and all of a sudden now they might press. I am big in the sport of baseball because it's every day and it's so long. I'm big on routine. And I think in the end, routine works. And when you deviate from the routine, people take different things from it. They think,
that's fair.
My manager doesn't have faith. My manager's panicking. I'm a big, and other sports are different, but in baseball, I just think steady wins the race a lot of times.
It does. You're right. It does. And I guess I'm not looking at it as a panic situation. I'm just looking at it as hey, I want to put my best lineup out on the field and knowing where I'm at. And I'm not saying I hey, JT, you're off. And then all of a sudden I'm going to go back on that. If I tell the guy he's off, he's off. But not build it in I just, and maybe because
what you've already and what you're doing is like hand in hand with that. You've told Stubbs, hey, you got Sunday, so Stubbs is kind of gearing his whole prep toward I'm in there Sunday. I don't like ripping up the plans, and I know there's probably times when you have to, but they have a lead. They're going to the postseason. I do think you can budget a little bit for October. And I know it drives people crazy when they lose and they don't have their best players on the field, but sometimes it's one step back to take two steps forward. Garrett Stubbs made it all work. Garrett Stubbs made it all work, and the offense as a whole made it all work yesterday. Because I'm sure when Rob Thompson got on that bus Saturday night, he's human. He probably thought about the same things we're talking about.
Get killed tomorrow. He actually said it. He's like, good move by me. He was joking around. You're right? Like talking about it.
Probably
He knows this, like, especially here. He's interesting because they get on, fans get on Topper a lot. Like he's not, even though they've won a lot and they had that magical run 2 years ago when he was a darling, he has a lot of critics.
Hey, it goes with the territory. You got to put on the asbestos suit, and you got to take it now and then. But like I'm sure Saturday night after that game, he sits on that bus and he says, "Man, it was great. Boy, did JT swing it good tonight. I'd love to have him in there tomorrow, but I'm sticking to the plan. Because routine does matter. It especially does matter when you have such important games still to play. And JT's north of 30. Let's not forget he had knee surgery just a handful of weeks ago. Very important on both sides of the ball. We'll talk about the importance of his right-handed bat, but he really is the leader of that pitching staff. And if they're going to win in October, they're going to need that pitching staff, and they're going to need him healthy and rock solid. So it hurts when he's not out there, especially when he's swinging it. But they got a plan, and it really helps when your players play good because it makes the people who make those plans, it makes them look like they know what they're doing.
We all silly like the mayor.